Welcome to Mamatoosa, Conversations with a Midwife. I'm your host, Atusa Benji. A quick note before today's episode. This show talks about birth, life, death, and all the complexities in between. My goal is always to share stories that leave you feeling empowered, but please know that some topics may be challenging or deeply moving. Also, while I'm an experienced midwife, I'm not your midwife, and the information on this podcast is not intended to be medical advice. Please consult your healthcare provider when considering what is best for you as an individual. Now, without further ado, I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to the Mamatoosa podcast. I'm so excited to have you on. My guest today is Ali Arnkoff, and Ali is a mama and a wife and a Pilates master, which is what we're going to be talking a lot about today, is prenatal and postpartum Pilates and Pilates in general, and all about your journey. I want to hear how you got into Pilates, what your experience in your own pregnancy was and your own birth was, and how you are seeing Pilates impact the women who you're supporting who are having babies and becoming mamas. I want to hear all about it. So welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
And I know you have two babies at home, so thank you for making the time.
It's all about, doing this for them too. Like, I want them to look back on these, moments in my life and be like, that's my mom.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it is.
I'm all about it. So, Pilates has just changed my life. It has been such an intricate part of even getting pregnant for me. So I couldn't get pregnant for the longest time. And this is kind of how I discovered Pilates. I had been trying for years and years with my husband, and it just wasn't happening. And we live in this day and age where it's like, if you're not getting pregnant, something must be wrong with you. Or in actuality, it's like, no, like it's all in its own timing. But I was one of the ones who was trying to fast forward that journey. And I said, okay, it's not happening. Let's figure this out. So I found the best, what I thought was one of the best IVF clinics in Beverly Hills, and started down that rabbit hole of, okay, let's get the show rolling. And I started with the injections and this and then that. And as I was in the middle of IVF, I was like, I need something for my mind. Like, I need to do something for my mental state. It was during COVID, which worst time to start IVF, but I was like, what the heck? I have the time. So during that, I discovered Pilates, and I went to one of my first classes at Bodyline in Beverly Hills with Maria Leone.
That's
who is
my studio.
Yes, that's
Did you know that we talked about
That's
that?
right.
That's
right.
so funny.
That's
what
right.
are the odds? There's like 4 billion Pilates studios in this
I know.
city.
We sat down next to each other at a bris, and then it turns into this conversation.
You have to be on my podcast.
Yep. Here today.
Yes.
It was Maria, who is literally the Pilates master. I mean, she's a tough one. And I was like, I want to learn from the best. So it was during that time, and I approached her about doing a training, and one thing led to another. And I started that right after I finished with IVF. It was not successful, unfortunately, but fortunately for me, I did have 2 babies naturally, without the help of IVF.
So the IVF was not successful, but the Pilates training was successful.
Yes, it was. It was very successful.
Wow.
And that led me to the next step, which is getting certified, and then just really branching out from there. And I started at Spear Pilates in West Hollywood with Andrea Spear. She just fully believed in me and was like, you can do this. I started at the front desk. I was like, I just want to get my foot in the door to see if this is really for me. And I did. And I was just sitting there and I was taking notes literally during every single class, because I could see what was happening, and just observing the instructors that I admired and respected. And I was just jotting everything down. And I finally approached Andrea and I said, I think I want to do this. And she goes, well, of course you do. Like, yeah, you've been ready. And I said, no, I can't do this. And she goes, just put the mic on, get on the floor. You've got this. You have everything it takes. And she believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself. And it was really that moment that shifted everything for me. And once I put that mic on, I just remember being so nervous And the rest is history. And here I am now, teaching privates, teaching group classes that are waitlisted and sold out. And it's just been a journey for me that I reflect back on trying to get pregnant and found during a really, really dark time in my life and what we as women go through trying to get pregnant. And when I found Pilates, it changed my life. And so I just immersed myself in teaching and growing and learning and building. And before I knew it, I was like, this is what I'm called to do. I'm already certified to teach yoga. I went to moved to Bali, got certified to do that.
I didn't know that. So Bali's part of your journey. Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, the yoga thing, it was a little too zen for me. I kind of have this like direct approach with my clients, and I'm not an easy one. Let's just say that. I mean, when you take with me, it's pretty like, okay, let's get it together, and my clients know that about me. So when you show up,
that's what they're attracted
I expect
to.
100. Yeah. So, with that being said, so I'm currently teaching, part-time now back in the field after the babies, but for the last 2 years, I've been pregnant. And that's kind of what, I'm here to share today is just pre and postnatal and how this correlates with being pregnant. And
so you went through the infertility journey, and at some point you were like, you know what, we're not going to do this. I'm done. Or what created the natural stopping of that and getting pregnant? Or did you get pregnant naturally in between treatments?
I did one round of IVF. And it was not successful. And I did everything right. And when I say everything, I did everything by the books. I mean, from eating to the diet, to the working out, to the everything that you could possibly do to have a successful transfer. And I was even told by the doctors and the nurses, like, oh, you're going to be fine. Like, just wait for the new, and so I was so confident. And I remember that feeling of that phone call and the doctor telling me that the transfer wasn't successful. And my heart just dropped. And I was just like, I can't take any more pain. Like it's devastating, to want to be a mother and to have a child, and then to be told like, okay, well, IVF will work for you. You have unexplained infertility. So let's just pump you full of all of these medications and you're going to be good to go. And to then be told, while it wasn't successful, let's do another round. And I'm thinking like, no. And so that's a whole nother conversation for another time. But that journey for me was just so tough. So being immersed in Pilates, it just took my mind off of everything. And then fast forward about a year later, I said, I have to put this to the side for now. Like, I literally just have to trust that God's timing is God's timing. And when it's ready, my body will be ready. And when I put it to the side, I wasn't opposed. I still have an embryo in the freezer right now that probably won't ever get used because I have my 2 babies and I think I'm good with 2. But I said, I'm going to let my body take a break. I just emotionally couldn't do another round. And when I did that, I said, I'm just going to get lost in Pilates and my work and building this. And I was genuinely just at such a just happy place and just such a content place in my own life. And I really stopped worrying about being pregnant. And I literally hated when somebody would say, you know what, just don't worry about it and it will happen. And that was like the worst thing somebody can tell you when you're trying. But I didn't really understand that until I actually let it go.
A friend of mine was telling me that they had heard that their friend, so it was like a through story. So I don't know if it's an urban legend, but it makes sense that they were a flight attendant. They worked for an international airline, a big international airline. And so many families would travel to different continents to adopt children, babies. Yeah. But when they were holding these babies that they had newly adopted, they themselves were pregnant. Oh, so somewhere during that journey when they had like let go of the idea of ever getting pregnant, but were knee deep in paperwork and already pick up the baby or meet the baby or whatever, they were already pregnant. Yeah. And so what is it about the human where sometimes where there's a surrender, that surrender itself sort of aligns the body and creates space for us to become the vessel for whatever, not just pregnancy, for many different things. So it's really the few things that I've never fully understood. And I had a Dr. Wertheimer on. She's an amazing infertility doctor, and she's a reproductive endocrinologist. And we were talking about how come some people try so hard to get pregnant and it can take years and months or it never happens. The body is just, it's a wild ride. So it's not, I believe that it's not just physical.
The same thing throughout my entire time trying to get pregnant. I'm like, how are so many women getting pregnant? They don't even want their child or that are giving a child. And I just am dying inside to become a mom. And it wasn't happening. But this is life's lessons, right? Like I'm reading a book right now called, No Mud, No Mud, No Lotus. And it's just been so insightful because, without suffering, we wouldn't have joy, right? And so they go hand in hand. And you have to, when you understand that suffering and joy do go hand in hand, you kind of begin to go, okay, like, I can get through this because on the other side of this is going to be joy, right? And without going through everything that I did with IVF and my journey with that, I wouldn't be able to help so many friends and clients and people that I've been able to speak life into to this day
to this
on their
moment.
own journey.
And
I look at that and I go, I'm so grateful that I was able to walk through such a dark time trying to become a mom. And then you become a mom and you're like, woo, okay, here we are. This is what I've waited for.
But this is a whole other journey.
It is.
A whole other journey. So do you think that I'm assuming it's multifaceted and perhaps we'll never know the full reason. Do you think it was distraction? Do you think it was just sheer joy and alignment with the universe? Or do you think that Pilates made you healthier so that you could conceive and carry a pregnancy?
I believe it was all of the above. I do truly.
The combination
letting go, finding that true inner joy and fulfillment, not coming from the external pleasures of the world or being fulfilled right away with a shot and the doctor telling you, okay, this is good. Like it was true fulfillment. And I believe your baby does know when it's ready to make a home. And it's like, okay, this space is safe for me. This is a safe space. And I don't really mean it like that, but I do mean it in a way that's like your baby
my soul
knows.
will be good here.
When it's ready to find that home.
Well, when you're ready to carry them as a vessel. Because we're vessels. We're literally vessels. We have no control over the soul journey. The soul is going to have its own journey, but we carry that soul. That soul, I believe the soul gets called in and then we are chosen to be the vessel. But we have very little control of the journey.
That's what's so frustrating too. It's like so for me, that is like type A and so controlling and like wants to know everything that's just about to happen. Because I don't do well in that space.
No, don't hold your breath, Ali.
This journey has helped me take a couple of steps back, even though I could take 10 more steps back. And, my husband's on me all the time about like, you don't have to always have it figured out. And I'm like, no, but I do. And that's just something that I'm trying to work on. I wouldn't say I fully arrived yet, but we're closer than we were yesterday.
Well, and how many times do you have a client on a reformer and you tell them to, do something or not do something like, keep your abs tight or point your toe or flex your toe or whatever. And then they don't do it. And then maybe they get injured. And then the next time you say it again, you're like, hey, listen, like do it like this. And they don't do it. But then the fifth time, they just do it and they become a whole different person. They may leave your class and still go do it in another class. And on the 8th time in that class, something flips for them. And that's a lot of the analogy of parenting, right? It's like, I can bring you to Pilates. I can pay for your class. I can buy you the socks. I can get you the best instructor.
I cannot.
But if you are not willing to find your journey in this class and on this machine and with what I've given you, then this is your journey. I don't know what's going to happen, So I think so much of those of us that are type A, not that I can relate. I only have friends that are type A. I'm very zen. Just kidding. Is the control of like, well, I'm crossing off the calendar and I'm doing the shots and I'm eating this certain way and it has to happen.
Yeah.
And then we get pregnant and well, now I'm pregnant and I've hired the best doula and the best midwife and it has to happen this way. Mm-hmm. And now I've read all the books and I'm going to breastfeed no matter what. And I'm going to use my pillow and I'm going to sit on my rocking chair no matter what. Yeah. And it's like, no, it has its own.
It really does.
Tapestry that comes in and I think humbles us.
It really does.
Because the universe, God, higher power, whatever it is that you believe in, it's like, actually, I know you have a plan.
Yeah.
But we're going this way.
My sister-in-law, I was talking to her the other day. Her name is Liz. She's a really incredible human and super powerful attorney in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And we were talking and I was sharing something about, my life. And she's like, I heard a quote and somebody say the other day, it's sometimes not the picture that you hoped you were painting. It's the picture that you're in right now. And that's so much of what pregnancy and becoming a mom is really all about. Like, it might not be the picture that you had hoped to paint, but it's the one you're in right now. And we've got the yellows for the sunshine. We've got the blacks and the blues and the dark for the dark. But like, it's what you're in and just embracing that, you know?
Yeah. And knowing that it's yours.
Yeah.
No one can take that away from you. It's yours. It's your journey. Tell me about the history of Pilates, because I hear this word traditional Pilates thrown around a lot. And I hear a lot of judgment between like studios and people who go to studios because, they're like, well, I'm a traditional girl. I don't do that cardio stuff or I don't. Because I know there's Dr. Joseph Pilates. So tell me about the history and then what's happening all around the world with Pilates instruction.
So from my experience and I've been teaching now for, I guess, almost 7 years. And just being in the industry, what I've seen and in being trained by Maria Leone, who is such a classical, she's got the classical athletic style, right? But her teaching is based in the foundations of what Pilates actually is. And Joseph Pilates, he was teaching, prisoners and people that were sick in hospital beds.
Yeah, what was his story? So what year was he around? Is it like World War II?
Yeah, World War II. And so a lot of these prisoners and inmates, and they were in hospitals, and he was taking springs and attaching them to hospital beds and having them lift their legs with springs. And then it kind of started to evolve. And then he designed, a piece of equipment and hooked some springs on there and said, okay, like this is how we're going to try to move our body in a way. And so it was resistance, right? But like low impact resistance workouts. And so he didn't even start with like, okay, this is going to turn into like this, multi-billion-dollar industry in the future. Right. He started just to help people move their bodies as they were lying in a hospital bed.
Right. What I heard about him is that when they watched those sick people, the people who he was doing the Pilates with, or this exercise that he was doing, wasn't called Pilates then, had lower mortality, lower morbidity, and better resistance to outbreaks of disease that were breaking out in the hospital. His patients were not getting because their immune systems were better. How fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, and to think like what he started at that time has turned into what it is today.
This movement.
He would be just...
Yeah, he's smiling right now.
He's smiling.
He's definitely... And he's such a funny character.
And whoever inherited the wealth and the name is also smiling. Maybe on a private island at the moment. But, hopefully doing Pilates.
On Pilates Island, probably. Yeah, it's actually on Pilates Island. I was first exposed to Pilates about maybe 10 years ago. I don't like yoga at all. Yoga makes me anxious. As does anyone telling me to breathe. Do not tell me to breathe. It doesn't go well for me.
Interesting.
I don't, I need to figure it out. Yeah. I just need to figure it out myself. I want to know what I want to breathe my way. I want to find my own body and do my own thing. But I got onto a Pilates machine and I was like, oh, this is good. This I like. And I did
What was
Pilates.
it about it that you were, it just the way you could move your body, or?
Yeah, I liked how I could find like my next goal, because I was never a runner or an athlete, but I knew that, I could hold that a little longer. I was lifting my head a little higher. I was actually able to breathe differently because I was engaging my shoulder blades in a certain way, because I had a lot of like trap and headache stuff. So when I learned to bring my shoulders down, use my diaphragm to breathe and all of those things, but I made myself little goals on the machine, and I found it because as women, and I'll just, for myself, never being athletic or having the it body or what I thought, the body has to look like, which now is like whatever. That was the beauty of turning 50. Letting it all go. Because when you're in a dance class, you can see the person next to you. When you're in a gym class, you can see the person across from you. When you're on a reformer, it's you.
Oh, yeah.
It's you. Like, I'm not turning my head to see what's happening on the reformer next to me. I'm just focusing on me. Yes. So it was the first time where I was in an exercise class where there was no mirror in front of me. It was me and my reformer. And it was great. And there are moments where you're on your knees or you're standing or whatever, but it never took me to that compare and contrast despair, nor did it have the rigor of like, keep up with the choreography. Otherwise you look like an idiot. And it didn't have my class. I'm sure there's different studios. This was before I actually met Maria. But in my studio, it was such a peaceful, kind, loving environment that it was on a reformer that I learned to love my body.
Oh, I love that. I mean, that gives me chills hearing that.
Not on a treadmill, not in a weightlifting class, not in a, what's that fast biking that people do? I cannot. Spinning.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Like, I do enough spinning in my head. I don't need to do it on a machine. Right. So it was perfect for me. And it wasn't until I think the pandemic that I walked into Bodyline and met Maria. And Maria, it was hard for me to, if Maria was on a machine, I literally wanted to like pull up a chair and just watch her, because it's like
she commands a room. Like when she's teaching or when she's even walks
when
into
she's
a
just
room,
doing
it's
her
just...
own, but when she's doing her own practice, it's like a theater. It is stunning. Her lines and her movements and it's incredible. So I always watched that, with just this awe. And I knew that she trained, and it was a training studio. And because I love learning and I love teaching, I loved that she had that model in place.
Same.
For the teachers.
Which is why when I decided that I wanted to, take Pilates to the next level, as opposed to just being a student, and I actually wanted to become certified and teach, I knew I was going to the best. And that's why I did the research that I did. And I scoured and searched the internet. I didn't care if I had to fly to Japan to do my training, if there was a teacher, but I found it in my backyard. And Maria was there.
What a gift.
And that's what I hope for in this industry. To this day, I am such a stickler when it comes to watching my clients form and watching them move their bodies and moving their bodies for them into a correct alignment, because I feel like these teachers are being so mass produced now,
for sure.
And they're turning them out and burning them out, and then they're throwing them on the floor, and these teachers don't know their ass from their elbows. And I'm like, wait, hold up. How are you telling somebody how to move their body when you actually don't even understand how the body moves?
The mechanics of it. Yeah.
And that's what's so frustrating to me in this current state, which is why, I want to find more ways to partner with a doula, to partner with the midwives, to partner with the doctors, right? And how we can all work together really to help these women during pregnancy, post-pregnancy, pre-pregnancy, really like enjoy moving their body, because like you said, you didn't fall in love with yours until you laid down on a reformer. And like I said, laid down, well, you're quickly up after that.
Yeah. You're not, for sure. Do you think that cardio Pilates and hot Pilates and fast Pilates and dance Pilates and adding dumbbells to Pilates is bastardizing the Pilates essence?
Absolutely not. I don't believe that it's taking it further from what it's meant to be. I do believe if you incorporate props and weights and teach from an athletic stance, as long as you're understanding like what you're doing, right? When you're teaching.
Whenever you take a field, you're going to have groups that don't agree with how other groups are doing it, right? Like, oh, well, that's not traditional or that's not doing it properly. Mm-hmm. So the introduction of a dumbbell or resistance strap or turning the temperature up in the room really high.
I believe there's a place for everyone, right? If you add a little bit of heat, it's really only like allowing you to sweat more, right? As opposed to just turning on the air condition and building up that internal heat where you can sweat more. And I love to sweat. Like give me a good infrared, hot yoga, hot Pilates class any day. Love it. But as far as like on the reformer, I prefer the AC. I'm already building up enough internal body heat on the reformer to sweat. I don't need that extra component per se. If it's a mat class, give it to me all day. But on the reformer, I do still prefer my little bougie AC moment and feeling good. But at the same time, I love a good prop. I love a weight, a dumbbell, and
a Bala bar.
Those are great as well. I love
them.
Bala.
Yeah, I just started Bala
the brand
bars.
itself, whatever they've done. I mean, the silicone and the feel of it in your hand.
It feels nice.
So sexy
and
yummy. Yes.
Yeah.
But I love a good prop. But I also feel like just using your own body weight and the resistance of the machine is just as great, right? It just depends on what you want. Like there's some days that I'm teaching or I'm taking a class and I love my ankle weights. I want to throw on the weights. But then there are some days I go in and I'm like, I'm going to just take it easier on my body. I'm going to just use my own body weight. And that's why I give all of my clients an option. They're all optional. So you can do it with or without, right? Like whatever your body's craving that day, which is the beauty of the reformer. You can do it with or without. And I tell all of we're not doing a one size fits all class here. What this looks like for you and what this looks like for you is going to be totally different. So whatever you're feeling, like, take that on. And it's the same thing with pregnancy, right? Like it's not a one size fits all. I have some pregnant clients come in and they're crushing it. And I'm like, wait, you're pregnant? Like how are you finding this but they get this boost of energy and they're ready to rock and roll. And then you have some that are pregnant.
And they've done it for a long time.
And they've done it for a long time.
Class.
Yes.
So as a midwife, when people ask like, hey, can I run or can I do a Pilates class or can I spin? Yeah. I usually say, don't start anything new in pregnancy. If you've been doing something, keep doing it. Your dancer body that has been dancing since you were 5 will do just fine. Yeah. With you dancing all the way until after you have your baby, even in labor.
But why? Right? Do you want to try something new?
I think
right when you get pregnant.
Like, I'm pregnant. Let me try something new. Like maybe I'll try Pilates. I've been doing yoga first, and I'm like, don't start the new thing because now is the time to continue with what your body knows to do well, and also don't complicate. Don't complicate.
Yeah.
Walking, swimming, all of those things that are going to create because labor is an athletic event, and especially when you're working with a client who is really not interested or not planning on getting an epidural, where they're like, it is me. I'm going to be doing this. I don't want any sort of pain management as far as I know. Then we are teaching the client that if you don't have stamina, we don't know if your labor is going to be 6 hours or 6 days. We don't know. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have that stamina, it's not going to do well for you. So sweat every day. But don't necessarily start hiking if you've never been a hiker. Right. Don't get on a bike if you've never biked before. Keep it simple. And I believe in diversifying. I don't know if you agree with this because I was talking to a trainer the other day who completely disagreed with me. Okay. To me, it makes sense in my brain that we're designed to move our bodies in many different ways because we have so many different muscle groups that move in extension and flexion and all the different angles that we can do that maybe one day swim, maybe one day run, maybe do a couple Pilates classes a week, diversify.
And that's what I did during my pregnancy.
Right?
For the first trimester, I didn't. Yeah, of course. I mean, I think it's just something that's like, whatever you're feeling that day, right? Like you might wake up and be like, I absolutely cannot go do any weight training right now. I just want to be home. I want to sleep in. I'm pregnant. I don't feel like I just want to be home and do my own body weight. I want to maybe go for a walk. I want to go, whatever it is you're feeling, like listen to that. You know your own body more than anybody. Don't force anything, right? And I'm not one to really ask because my first trimester, I didn't work out at all. I was scared to death. It took me so long to get pregnant. I was like, absolutely not. I was training my clients and training during that time. I would have to jump on the reformer and teach and show them. And that was kind of my way of still being on a reformer and training without quote unquote being,
doing
training.
That. Yeah.
So for me, it was just like, I love the diversity of working
model.
out.
Okay,
yeah,
good. I'm glad.
No, I do. I prefer
that.
it because there, as hardcore as I am about Pilates and I love it, I didn't personally do Pilates during my pregnancies because here's my thing. When you really think about it, you prep your body, right, prior to getting pregnant. You don't get pregnant and then say, okay, now it's time to really take care of myself. Like,
it was part of the
you
journey
prep
at the
your
beginning.
body and then your pregnancy journey begins. And if that's the time that your health journey begins as well, then, yes, dive into that for whatever that looks like for you. But I think it's all about pre and post during pregnancy.
As much as possible.
As much as possible.
Not everyone is able to do that. Can you define the core for me? What is the body's core?
So there's so many muscle groups in the core, right? Like when you think of core, you think of like your rectus abdominis, right? Or like your superficial core, right? Which is like your abs, right? You look at your core, your
Most
abs
people
are popping.
think abs.
They think abs.
I'll take it, go further down to the pelvic floor.
Right. All of them, in my opinion, just work together to hold you upright better, right? The core, when you say core, people are like, oh, what does your core look like? It's more of like do you have abs? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
It's so internal, right? And so when I teach, I work all aspects of the core. Like the last exercise you will probably ever do with me is a sit-up. I love anything that involves the legs, right? From lying supine on your back, right? Leg extensions, leg
supine
lifts.
legs.
Yes.
It's the best thing ever.
And it is, and you're working your pelvic floor to keep your pelvis stable, right? Like your diaphragmatic breathing, right? Like all of these go together to form the entire core, right? So it's not just the abdominals, right? It's the pelvic floor. It is all of the components that do make up the entire core, right? And then you think about how does that help me during pregnancy? How does it help me during labor? I mean, I would like to say I know what that feels like. I had a C-section, so that's the route I was going. But the healing process for me, even just doing Pilates, having a C-section and having multiple layers of my abdomen cut open, like just having Pilates in my back pocket to really help the healing process, right? Like I didn't dive back in it until about 8 weeks after my C-section.
Amen. Thank you for saying that.
It's so important, the actual recovery, because there's so many things that can go wrong when you jump back in too quick or you don't take care of yourself. And I'm not going to tell you everything that I did post C-section because my doctor would literally be like, what are you thinking? But when it did come to working out, I was very strict and it's a hard no for me. If anybody comes in post C-section, it's a hard no, 8 weeks, and that's minimum for me.
Yeah.
So,
I even do. I'm really a stickler as a midwife. I don't believe we should start working out until 6 weeks after vaginal delivery and about 12 weeks after C-section.
Yeah.
Now 8 weeks, depending on how the client is doing.
Totally.
Have they worked out before? What, all of those things. What was the reason of the C-section? How much blood loss did they have? All of those things. It's a whole picture, where Western medicine fails is that we create very hard parameters that are not necessarily pertinent to everybody.
Exactly.
Right. So for example, we say, oh, you're going to a 6-week visit. Okay. That's like the sex visit. You can have sex after 6 weeks, right? If you want to.
If you want to.
Most people
Like, why? Yeah.
When I bring up sex at the 6-week visit, like, hey, have you all thought about like resuming intercourse? Sometimes there's a giggle, and if the person is coupled and partnered in a sexual relationship, where they're like, "Oh, we started like 3 weeks ago," and I'm like, "Oh, okay," and then others look at each other like, "Are you kidding me right now?
Not.
Like my boobs hurt, I'm leaking." Like, no.
Yeah.
So that hard like 6-week like sex visit, no.
Yeah. There's a lot of pressures around these like timelines,
around
right?
the
like
parameters.
Yeah. So many pressures. They're not. And so many pressures about being a certain way during your pregnancy and what you should eat, what you should and shouldn't do. Like there is a book, I can't think of the name of it, but it's like breaking the barriers on what society says you should and shouldn't do. I mean, I ate sushi when I was pregnant. I did all of the things that, I probably shouldn't be doing when I'm pregnant.
But we're intuitive to you.
But exactly right. And that's what brings me to that is like we as women, and that's where you have to tune in to who you are as a woman, how you even got to where you are to create this human, right? And when you start to tune into that and listen to your body and listen to your heart and mind, then that's where you can truly make informed decisions on what's best for you. That's why I don't ever say do exactly as I did during my journey, because my journey is going to be completely different from yours. This is what I did. It worked for me, but that might not work for you. And that's okay. And that's the beauty of all of our journeys here.
And that concludes our episode, because I think she just said everything that the Mamatoosa podcast stands for, right?
Did I?
You just literally epitomized everything that we talk about on this podcast, is that so much is pressured, insinuated, forced, threatened, that a lot of times we as women have lost our intuition to external power, whatever the external power that be, even if it's another woman. Even if it's another female person who has written the book on pregnancy. Yeah. No, you haven't. There's not only one book on pregnancy. There are 8 billion people on this planet, más o menos, right? That means many different experiences on pregnancy.
Yeah.
Billions of them.
Yeah.
Right. So, and the parameters are problematic, because even something, and I talk to my partner midwife a lot about this, which is, we tell women that, your baby should move 10 times an hour, twice a day.
I hated that fact when I looked it up, because I was like, I'm not feeling my baby. And then you start getting paranoid. I had the Doppler machine out, and I'm like freaking out. And no, my baby didn't move until 24 weeks, 5 weeks maybe. And I thought, and you read these articles, it's moving at 20 weeks. And I'm like, wait. Okay, something's not, and then you start freaking out in your head. What's wrong with my baby? You start spiraling, and it's not healthy
Googling,
for us.
Right?
No.
In the middle of the night, we have people Googling.
Yeah.
But, so, okay, that parameter of, check in with your baby. It's about 10 movements an hour, twice a day, when you're counting fetal kick counts to make sure the baby's doing well. Yeah. The baby's oxygenating. Because really, the only way you know the baby's oxygenating is if the baby's moving. The only one who can tell you that is the mom, unless you have a Doppler or an external fetal monitor or an internal fetal monitor to check, right? But what if your baby moves way more than that? And you know that you have a baby who's a mover. So what if we're actually doing a detriment by saying that if your baby's moving 10 times an hour, twice a day, then everything's okay? Because your baby's okay is actually much more than that.
Yeah.
And so for the mom who comes in and says, something's not right. Well, what are you feeling? Well, I feel a baby. Are they moving 10 times a day? Twice a day? Are you counting 10 times an hour? Yeah. Then you're fine. But she's like, no, I know something is wrong. Yeah. Yes, it is 10 times an hour, but I'm telling you something is wrong. And I think when we put too many parameters in place, then people lose their intuition.
Yeah.
Because one baby needs to move a lot more as their baseline normal, and one baby moves a lot less as their baseline normal, which makes it a little trickier. But we need to listen to people's bodies. And the more we, as practitioners in whatever we are practicing in, teach clients to trust their body. So maybe on that Monday morning when you woke up and you've just had a breakup, and your body feels like crap, maybe that's not the morning that you're going to put on the ankle weights and do a 30-pound bar.
Exactly right.
Or maybe the day when you're like, you wake up and you have a lot of energy and it's your period's over and your skin's glowing.
That's
and
what
you
I see
feel
the
good.
most of. Every woman comes in and goes, oh my God, I'm on my period.
I'm on my period.
If you see me, you know, I have an expectation for my clients when they walk through that door. I show up and I give 100% and I expect the same, right? But there will be times where they come to me, Ali, like, I'm on my period, so just ignore me today. And I'm like, I got you. That's part of it. And I love to be aware. And I don't think people talk to the instructor enough. I know my clients will, but some people come in intimidated and don't want to share that, which is totally fine. But then share that, right? Like, talk to me. Let me know if you're comfortable and you tell me you're pregnant. Let me know if you're on your period. So when I come and I do some hands-on adjustments, I'm aware like what's going on in your mind and your body. So I'm not trying to push you to that next level, right? If your mind is not there.
Yep.
So,
yeah. And who is more tender? I mean, there's so much tenderness in I think that people who do classes for exercise and are working with people's bodies have such a responsibility to hold tenderness so that, yes, you can be a kick-ass Pilates instructor, yoga instructor, whatever it is that you're doing, but also hold space for how we look at our bodies and how we see ourselves in the mirror.
Yeah.
And some of my favorite instructors are the ones that are like, and put your hand on your heart, you know, give gratitude, you know, say thank you to yourself for showing up today. Because one of the most tender demographics of people who shows up to your class is that person who's just had their baby. So that 7-week postpartum mama who, you know, is out maybe for the first time in an exercise class and their baby is home and they're texting and they're like, is the baby okay? But they're in a class and looking at themselves in the mirror and they're trying to get back into it. There is a tenderness that I feel when the instructor holds. It sets the tone for that mother's mothering journey.
Yeah.
Not just for, I'm your Pilates instructor today.
Yeah. And that's so much of what I try to bring to my clients is like, I'm not here to just help you move your body on the reformer. Like, it is a true space for me to help women feel not only good about their bodies, but also about their like mental space, right? Like, truly, like and this is what I say to them, whatever you have walked in with, which is why I always warm up the body with a little bit of footwork in the beginning, because it gives you some time to lie down on your back and I crank those springs up, right? So you're still getting that nice burn in the beginning.
2 reds and a blue, 3 reds and a blue.
Oh, girl, I got you on 3 reds.
3 reds and a blue.
3 reds. No, just 3
just
reds. 3 reds and a blue. I don't know if you would come back to me.
Okay.
But I'll still give, so that would be super heavy.
I start with 3 reds and a yellow.
Well, okay. Well, that's great.
But
that's the thing. It's like, I think that when you can really, and that's what I'm seeing a lot of is like, you go to these classes and you don't even get to even get a proper warm up, right? They throw you right in there and it's like, wait, my body is not even ready for this. So footwork for me is, and that's a space, right? Where I say, whatever you have come in with, let that shit go for the next 45 to 50 minutes. Let it go. This is a time for you to tune into your body, your mind, right? And to not think about anything. Just listen to my voice, follow along, right? Get lost in the music, get lost in the words. And that's the number one thing my clients tell me when they finish is like, I didn't think about anything while I was here. You know, and then giving them that 1 or 2 minute cool down at the very end to put their hand on their heart, to open their arms wide, right, outside of the reformer while you're doing feet and straps, or, you know, to finish out and to really like take a couple of deep breaths, right? Like, we truly do. Like, I know you don't like to be told how to breathe, when to breathe.
It's a good reminder though.
But the book that I'm reading, No Mud, No Lotus, tells you like that is the one thing that you do have control of, right? Like, every single time you take a deep inhale and let it go, like, that is you being present. That is you being mindful. And when you can just be mindful of just something as simple as an inhale and an exhale, that's all you,
That's all you need.
That's all you need.
Yeah. Is there a time in pregnancy that's too early to start Pilates?
It depends, right? Like, if you are pregnant and you and your doctor is like you're high risk, if you come to the table with anything, I say get through that first trimester successfully and then ease your way into it, right?
Like so like 12, 14 weeks.
Yeah, I typically, and that's just me erring on the side of precaution because those first like 12 weeks of forming that baby, those are like the most delicate weeks during your pregnancy. And so I just say, listen to your body. If you feel like showing up and you're clear to do so with your doctor, do that. Do not feel any pressure in those first few weeks. You shouldn't feel it in the second or third trimester either because you're only getting bigger. But at the same time, sometimes just show up. And if you want to just lay there and do feed-in straps, by all means, I will give you exercises to do, right? But we are learning so much about like, okay, don't do this in Pilates when you're pregnant. Don't do that. Don't twist. Right. To a certain degree. We can modify, but you think about it, when you're pregnant, you go back to put your seatbelt on. You're twisting.
Yeah.
Right? So we still want to incorporate some of that.
Or put your toddler in the car seat.
Or put your toddler in the car seat, right? And you're like out of breath and you're like, wow, I just did that in Pilates, but I was told not to,
Right.
So there's a lot of misconceptions about what you should and shouldn't do while you're pregnant. I always err on the side of precaution. But like I said, with props and weights or ankle weights, you can still modify, you can still do certain things, right, to ease your way into Pilates and continue that throughout your pregnancy.
What are some of the major modifications that have to be made in pregnancy?
Major modifications. So anything like, typically that, like I said, the first 12 weeks, if you're comfortable working out, do so. There's not a lot of real like modifications, I would say, in those first 12 weeks. But after that, lying, on your back after a certain amount of weeks, typically they say around 12 to like 14, 15 weeks or so is when, what is the word? When you're lying on your back, it's like a long word that your heart doesn't get the oxygen that it needs that can affect the baby and make you dizzy. But that's why we're not able to lie on our backs during that time. So we just use a wedge. That's one of the modifications. Never lying prone on your belly, right? I wouldn't do that at all during my pregnancy. Right. That's just me.
Yeah.
Some people might feel comfortable doing that before they have their belly.
Yeah.
Anything like crunching, I typically don't have my clients do crunches, heavy planking, leg lifts, sure. Lying on your back, like single leg lifts, right? Like toe taps,
right.
Leg extensions, one leg out, back in, double leg extensions, anything double, right? Where it can really put a lot of pressure on that and then cause like, diastasis recti. Yeah. So anything that could potentially harm, like I try to avoid that. Major twisting, right? You can always do a plank, right? Side planking, lifting up out of your side. Like there's so many modifications, but as far as like hard nose for me, crunching, fully lying down on your back, lying on your belly, super heavy weights, which you're not going to do that in Pilates anyways. Right. But typically that's why I love Pilates. It's just because there's so much you can do.
Oh, it's so diverse.
And that's why, like, even for me, when I have a client that's 20, 25, 30 weeks pregnant, she might have to modify some by external rotation, taking her legs a little bit wider in certain things for squatting or for footwork. But other than that, there's so much that you can do. So I just always keep an eye on my pregnant clients and I tell them, listen, I'm going to cue and I'm going to teach my way of teaching, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not a one size fits all, but that's
sure.
what you get sometimes with teachers. I come in teaching 10 people and they're teaching like everybody should be doing the same thing. And that's just not the case. Yeah. And if I even see a client pregnant or not doing something correct, I'll give them a modification. Because not everybody is the same.
No, we're not all built the same. And also typically the pregnant body will tell you what it doesn't like.
Oh, totally.
So people will be like, I'm getting lightheaded or I can't breathe or that doesn't feel good. And I think that what I would love to see is that loving kindness touch of stop if something doesn't feel right.
Right.
Something doesn't feel good. Trust your body.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that so many, and I'm just going to generalize for a second. There are so many instructors, athletic instructors, Pilates, yoga, trainers, dancers spend so much time in front of the mirror, And there's so much body obsession, body dysmorphia, eating disorder, just the way that we treat our bodies and talk to our bodies can be so harsh and so negative that if instructors in any, whatever they're teaching, if we're able to bring people back to the honor and the respect and the wholesomeness and the miracle of your body that woke up today without you really doing much of anything is miraculous, and it deserves to be honored.
Yeah,
it deserves to be
funny.
honored.
I was so much harder on myself before I had children.
Yeah.
And now I look at myself in the mirror naked and I'm like, damn, girl, you
That's
look
hot.
good. Like, you had 2 babies. Like, you were crushing it.
Yeah.
And I haven't even fully stepped back into like hardcore working out anymore. It's just so incredible. Like, when I saw my body pregnant and then post-pregnancy, which has a lot to do with like genetics and, working out post and eating and that sort of thing.
Right,
but like
right.
the fact that I birthed 2 humans and I still look like this, like, I'm just like, whoa, this is just, it's, you see yourself in a whole different light.
Right.
Or I'm like, I thought it would be the other way around, where like after kids, I would be like, oh my God, like I got to do this and that. And now
sometimes it is,
and sometimes it is.
People, they have a baby and they're like, what just happened to my body?
With that, it's just, I was a lot more confident after having kids. Cause then I'm like, now I just want to be strong for my boys. Like, I want to do not only this for me now, like I want my boys to look at me and go, yeah, that's my mom right there. Like,
Yeah.
So
that's so funny. I was actually in a class at Bodyline, and we're not advertising Bodyline or any other studio, by the way. We
love you, Maria.
We got to tag Maria on here. There was an instructor there who used to train a lot, and I think Maria does too, train a lot of athletes. And
Nikki.
Nikki. So Nikki Nikki was teaching a class in the afternoon, and I took that class. I used to take it often. It was like a Thursday afternoon. And on one particular class, she had one of her athletes in class, and he was a big 6'5" linebacker, right?
Oh yeah.
Football player.
Yeah.
Big man. And, he was in the reformer opposite me. So I've been doing Pilates for a while now, right? So my form is pretty good. So he was struggling so hard through this class. He was like hating his life at that moment. And every once in a while, he couldn't figure out like what to take off or what to put on or what position to do or how to bend or whatever. And she'd say, look at Mamatoosa. And I was thinking to myself,
God, you're like,
are you kidding me right now? He's probably thinking like, you are having me follow the form of this middle-aged woman who's next to me when I'm like a pro. Why can't I figure this out?
Yeah.
But it occurred to me that if you're not moving your body in a certain way, or you haven't been taught to, you're not doing often enough, I wouldn't be able to do what he's doing. I'd probably die the first 15 minutes, but he couldn't do what I was doing.
Yeah.
And it was such a moment of like, wow, this is my training. Like my training has like gotten me here. And it was almost like, I was kind of proud of it for a minute. I mean, he could probably crush me with one hand.
And when I see clients come in, right, they'll be with me and they're like, I took my first Pilates class with you and you helped me fall in love with this. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. But then to see the progression, right? And watching these men and women continue to progress, like with their lunging, right? Like single leg lunges, like let's say we're doing that on the reformer and they can only go down maybe 2-3 inches in their first few classes. And then you start to see them go lower and lower and their back starts to flatten out and their spine starts to elongate and they're so in tune with their bodies. That's what I love more than anything about play. Like you are so if you stick with it and you're working it's those little things and it helps you just really tune into that. And then you're like, damn, now I've got somebody that can be next to you, right? Whose body you might find is a lot different than yours, better, worse, whatever, younger, but they're looking younger, hotter, but you're still doing it correctly. And they're looking at you and going, oh, wow, like she's so in tune. She's so aligned with like what she's doing. And I do it all the time.
Ali, there is a woman, she's in her late 80s. Okay, she's on the Pilates next to me. She kicks my ass every single time.
I know.
She's been doing Pilates for like
and that's inspiration.
50 years, right? It's inspiration. Gets better. She went out and had a hip replacement Okay. 2 weeks later, she's back on that reformer. Like, of
course she is.
Nobody's business.
Yeah.
Nobody's business. I was
Yeah.
like, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's true. And that's why I love it. Like, you can literally do this at
forever,
any time
Yeah.
in your life, right?
Right.
Because you can modify, and there's something for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm seeing more and more
Something for everyone.
reformers in PT offices and OT offices where they're using that as a modality of the PT and the OT,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is incredible. I'm just going to tell you that I tell my clients who are avid Pilates. What do you call us?
Pilates?
Yeah. Pilates people to actually wind down the Pilates after about 32 weeks. Not because it's bad for you, but I find that my clients who have been doing Pilates their whole life, this goes for my dancers and my bicyclists also. My clients who've been doing Pilates a lot and do it 3, 4, 5 times a week, I have them tone it down a little bit and begin doing more walking just to like soften that pelvic floor a little bit.
Yeah. Because that's the key, right? You said soften, right?
Soften.
There's a difference, right?
Oh, for
between
sure.
having a strong pelvic floor
Correct.
and a tight pelvic floor, right?
Correct.
Where it's like you can still soften that. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that sometimes there's so much training in keep your core tight and breathe a certain way. And when it comes to birth and everything has to actually
You need to release.
open
Yeah.
and release and surrender, sometimes my athletes have such tight pelvic floors that they don't dilate the same way.
Yeah.
And they actually need
Prolongs
an
it.
epidural. It prolongs it. So the epidural becomes their best friend because the epidural goes in and sort of relaxes all those muscles
Yeah.
so that the cervix can begin to dilate.
Yeah.
But many a time they have not always, everyone's different, but sometimes athletes have just longer labors because that pelvic floor is so tight. So I usually stop at 30, 32 weeks. I don't know what not stop, but pull it back. What do you
Ease
think?
off.
Yeah, ease off.
I mean, I love that you brought that point up, because that's what you do. You see that all the time. So this is why I think these conversations are so important, right? To have with instructors and then teachers and masters of Pilates, as well as, doulas and midwives and that sort of thing. Because if I know what you're dealing with on your end, right? Then I can say, you know what? Like, let's work together to make these women and not necessarily have an easier or better birth, but just the experience of what you're telling me, right? Like easing off at 32 weeks. Now that was information for me that now I can take with me and go, you know what? Like I'm going to work with my pregnant clients a little bit different at 32 weeks and say, let's actually, like you can continue to come, but we're going to ease off on some of these things, right? To allow you and your body to sort of relax and release.
To relax. And I think the other thing is that we often in childbirth classes, people are taught to do perineal massage. And perineal massage
I never did that.
Yeah. So it's
it was a little weird to me. Was that like?
Well, let me explain to you.
I guess
so people think that perineal massage is typically you can do it on yourself or your partner does it or a person does it for you. So imagine someone facing you, clean hands, short fingernails, uses some kind of lubricant. Facing you puts 2 fingers into the vagina and massages in like a U shape.
Yes.
While they press down a little bit. So you're massaging that perineal area, which is the area between the vagina hole and the butthole, right? Now, people think that, let's do lots of perineal massage because then when it's time to push out a baby, the vagina will be all stretched out. It'll be used to being stretched. No. That's not why you do perineal massage. When it's time for the vagina to stretch, the baby's head will stretch the vagina, period. But what you're doing is conditioning that woman, that birthing person. What are they doing with their pelvic floor when they feel that burn? Because that burn, that stretch is the baby coming out. For some people, based on their genetics, their history, if there's sexual trauma, whatever is going on, if there's tightness, they will literally do a Kegel and pull back.
Yeah.
Right. So like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes it's a straight trauma response, which needs to be managed with counseling and trauma therapists. But if you are giving someone or yourself you won't do it with yourself as well, because if we feel pain ourselves, we pull back. But if a partner is doing perineal massage with you and they put their finger in and they begin to pull down and you're having some kind of feeling in your body where you're like pushing their fingers out, like get out, or pulling their fingers up, like I'm not going to push, this is terrible. That's what we're working on. We're working on that conditioning. So that when the baby's head comes, the person can keep their pelvic floor in neutral. Not in Kegel, which is pulling up, and not in pushing, which is pushing out. Because you don't want to push out your baby too fast either. That's when a lot of tears happen, is when moms are like, what the F is that? Boom, get my baby out. And then they tear. So
it's that balance.
With the person who does a lot of Pilates or has their whole life and they're a dancer and they do biking across the country, you put your fingers into that pelvic floor and it's typically
you can just feel the resistance.
Tight. It feels like resistance. It feels like a thick rubber band. And with those clients, we really have to work a lot on the breathing, which comes with softening.
Diaphragm,
So they might have very strong floors, which they do, and they're used to keeping them tight and almost always in a Kegel.
Which it is beneficial to some degree, but when it comes to delivering a baby,
to birth, we need the opposite.
The release.
So you would be doing all the OBs and midwives and birthing people a huge service if you begin to teach them that as we get later into the third trimester, begin to think about softening, opening.
I love that.
Doing all those things that are like warm and expansive versus cold and contractive.
Yes, let's like get the abs where they need. Yeah, because by that time, you're right. Like you need to release really everything at that point. Like let it all go, because really if you're holding on to you're going to feel that in every aspect.
Absolutely.
Of your
emotional
delivery,
mentally,
yes,
right?
exactly.
All of it. The other thing that is my pet peeve that I will share with you, and I'm sure you don't do this, but late pregnancy and early postpartum people, so before that 40-day postpartum mark, should not be carrying any weight that hangs. So no dumbbells, no heavy groceries.
You're saying like leading up, like you're saying in the third trimester or post trimester?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Both in the third trimester and in the postpartum period.
Okay.
So let's say from 28 weeks to 6 weeks postpartum. Whatever that looks like, that period of time. When that person is lifting a grocery bag in each hand that's more than 7-8 pounds, you are literally pulling the pelvic floor down. And that pelvic floor has an elasticity that postpartum, you're trying to help it go back up. When we are lifting heavy weights like that, we're actually pulling the pelvic floor down, which causes more issues with incontinence, stress incontinence, acute incontinence, and pelvic floor issues.
And these are like these little like myths and facts that I love to break down, because, there's so many things out there of like, don't carry this at this time. Don't do this at this time. And then really just hearing from like your perspective and someone who is actually like on the front line
of pelvic floors.
Yes.
Different people have different tissue integrity. You could be very strong in your muscles, but your tissue could be very stretchy.
Totally.
They're two different things. So sometimes we're like, I don't know, I work out, I'm healthy, I'm not overweight, but every time I cough now, I'm peeing. Yeah, that's genetic. That's just genetic. It's your tissue stretching. So especially for that person, lifting those things that dangle. I always think of like shopping bags, things that are pulling down on that pelvic floor. So that's what we're seeing in the midwifery world. And if anyone has comments or anything and they want to, challenge me on it, I'm always happy to learn. Always happy to learn. It has been so good to have you on.
I feel like I've learned so much from you, even just being here, that I can't wait to take with me and share with my clients and take this information and apply this to,
your
practice. My practice.
Well, so. I wish that everyone had that sparkly, glowy energy of what they love to do, their passion. And I'm really excited for your clients. I'm excited for the clients I'm going to send to you, actually.
Thank you.
And Pilates, I love Pilates.
I mean, once you get a little taste of it, it's hard to not love it,
it's like
right?
the mafia, too much.
Yeah, you do. And you're like, how do I get away with it?
Make me feel that way again. I was just on a trip and I was like, I was dreaming of my reformer. I was like, just get me on it.
That's why like now I just cannot wait. Like, and I can tell when I haven't been on the machine and the reformer. I can just, my body.
Your body says.
feels so tight and just so like, and once I get off of it, I'm like, oh, this is why I do this for myself.
Do you know of ways where people can access Pilates that is not so darn expensive? It's so pricey.
Online, you know, you can use a ball. You can put like a towel underneath your feet, right? Where when you're pulling your knees in, right, it's going to give you that similar feel as a reformer. So like there are modifications. You can still do a lot of the things that you can do on a reformer at home on a hardwood floor. And yes, I mean, it's not going to give you that same effect, but at the same time, it just depends on what your goals are, right? Like if your goals are X, Y, and Z, like you might not be able to achieve that without the reformer, but you know, you can maybe come take 1 or 2 days a week and find what that looks like for you, because it is very expensive. But then you think about the training, right, that we as teachers have to go through, and the cost for us to even become certified teachers.
And the overhead of a Pilates studio is incredible.
Yeah. So
Dr. Pilates was not, or Mr. Pilates or whatever, Sir Pilates, whatever his name was, he was not using the Pilates machine as we know it now. He was improvising as he was practicing. So it's not like he had the reformer as we know it in his early days. He just had body mechanics that he was teaching.
Yes, exactly. And that's what it is. It's modifying, it's finding ways to do that. But it is a very pricey
it's an expensive
addiction
for sure. And, it is expensive.
You know, and I wish that we could find ways
to make it more accessible.
Yeah, because it really is so beneficial for every single body. And I want people to have more access to Pilates and not have the financial.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you for having me. This has been so fun. And
we're going to talk about
me a whole
other
new little
subjects
spark.
next time. I'm so excited. Thank you.
Thank you, Mamatoosa.
Mamatoosa is hosted by me, Atusa Benji, and produced and edited by Josh Stretton Carlson. Our theme music is composed by Mehri Lalazarian. If you'd like to support the show, please follow and review us on Spotify and Apple, or subscribe and like us on YouTube. This show is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be medical advice. Always consult with your healthcare provider when making medical decisions. See you next Tuesday.